Welcome, everybody. Joe Tarnowski with ECRM here, and I have with me today Conor Farrell, who's a buying manager for Positive Healthcare at Boots Ireland. Now, he was a recent participant in our Euro Health and Wellness virtual session, and he's also been to previous in-person sessions. So, Conor, thank you so much for joining us today. And to kick it off, can you give us a little overview of Boots Ireland for people who are not familiar and your role there?
Yeah, sure. So I work for Boots Ireland. Boots Ireland is a pharmacy chain here in Republic of Ireland. We've 89 stores now. We're part of the wider kind of Walgreens Boots Alliance group, so pretty big global player. We've been in Ireland for 24 years, opened in 1996. So yeah, it's been here quite established now in Ireland as in one of the high street shops. My role there, I'm the buying manager for Positive Healthcare. I get asked all the time, what is Positive Healthcare? So Positive Healthcare is your vitamins, your supplements, your weight management, like foot care, your non-medicated front of shop. So a lot of kind of the wellness categories and the health and well-being.
Excellent. And I know those categories, have been impacted a lot by the whole pandemic. I know here, myself included, everybody's kind of taking a more preventative look at healthcare and we're buying a lot more of those types of products. So maybe can you take us through like a little timeline of what trends you were seeing before COVID and maybe how the shopper has changed in what they're buying and how they're shopping as we kind of progressed through to where we are now?
Yeah, so I think it was quite interesting in what's happening in these areas. It's all very much shifting towards your natural, your vegan, kind of really on trend product, and people being real cautious about what they put into their bodies and that kind of preventative health. When we did kind of see COVID come on the radar, we had seen people start to kind of stock up a little bit on their essentials, a little bit out of healthcare and more into likes of your toiletries products, your beauty products. But I think we definitely seen it shift quite rapidly over them couple of weeks when lockdown was going to happen. It turned into very much, how do I protect myself and my family? So it was like your PPE, your face masks, your hand sanitizer, and we kind of make sure that they were set up to, if they have to go out of the house, how do they protect themselves? But kind of once people stopped thinking about that, it needed to turn into your, right, how do I nearly protect yourself from future and for kind of moving forward? And that was where we kind of got into your wellness vitamins and your supplements and looking at immunity now. It becomes so important. Whereas usually we were nearly coming out of immunity season into winter or into summer, we shifted straight back in and people were stocking up on vitamin C and zinc and really kind of going after them products. Not like we could definitely see people not shopping just for themselves, but for like the whole family, from multivitamins to kind of everything. We also see some trends and people stocking up on beauty supplements to make sure kind of like they had that throughout COVID if they couldn't leave the house. But we definitely seen a shift into really led by like media and what was happening. Like everyone seeing the activity around vitamin D. And once that kind of hit, we seen vitamin D and then you go tenfold in the next couple of days. And that was kind of how do we react to make sure we had the stock there and to make sure that it was there for the customer. But also how do we make sure that it was there in our online business, because online thing for everyone was never so important. And it kind of really helped bring them essential products to our customers. And it was something that we were really cautious of to make sure, how did we at Boots make sure that we weren't letting anybody down and that we had the right products and the right stock. So it was very different kind of trends that we'd seen, whereas usually we'd be getting ready for your hay fever products and that type of thing. In summer, it was back into immunity, vitamins, how do we get them there? And when you obviously forecast so long far in advance, it was nearly shifting it back a dial to make sure you were ready for it. I think when we've probably seen it kind of come out of actual lockdown and maybe a couple of local lockdowns, but when we've seen immunity absolutely stay forefront of people's mind, that PPE category as well, how do they protect themselves in the interim and how do they keep kind of for winter time, which we're heading back into now, how do we make sure that they have enough products there and they're protecting the whole family and boosting up their immune system. So it was very different year and you could never have predicted what was going to happen next. So it was very much, how do we stay on top of the trend, what's happening in the media, and look at what's happening in other countries, because it was everybody was just watching everything else to see what was the next product that I needed to make sure I could help me throughout this pandemic.
Yes, we were doing the same thing. We were watching Europe because you guys were ahead of us in terms of when you were getting it, which meant you were going to be coming out of it before we did. So we were watching you to determine how should we prepare for when we start getting into that phase. But you brought up a good point with immunity is like forever now. I mean, everybody is going to be focusing on immunity. But also, and I'm wondering if you're seeing this, I think just in general, people are going to, just moving forward, are going to have more front of mind preventative health. So beyond immunity, but just, I know that this brought, to the forefront of my mind of just people need to be taking better care of themselves all the time. So are you seeing that among your customers across different segments?
Yeah, definitely we are. And we're seeing a lot more questions being asked when customers come in to talk to our healthcare advisors, really looking kind of what should they be doing, as opposed to normally we had kind of customers come in, they nearly knew what they were looking for, and they kind of might ask a couple of questions about the product, but they're kind of asking the question is, what should I be taking for me? What should my son and daughter be taking? And like that, really into that kind of preventative mindset, not kind of like we used to see going into winter, like we call it the treat phase, and it's like cough remedies, like cold and flu tablets. But now it's like, how do I make sure I don't need them? That's kind of where we've seen it gone. Was before people like, oh, I have a bit of a sniffle, I'll go in and get something to treat, and they're like, I know I need to take vitamin C to make sure I don't get that sniffle. And it's very, very different. We had to react quite quickly, even from an online point of view, to make sure we had advice and information up on our platform online to make sure customers could go and find what they're looking for if they couldn't make it into a store and have that one-to-one interaction, that we were putting up the right immunity messages and that like preventative health. So what should they be taking? And like absolutely, it was interesting.
Yeah, and especially the fact that like now I don't even want to get a cough. Like I don't even want to get to that. And even, sure, I don't want to get sick, but having a cough these days, like everybody avoids you. If I went for a run couple of days ago, and I'll get seasonal allergies, and like for the entire day after the run, I was sneezing, and all I'm thinking is, one, if anybody's around me, they're going to be paranoid, and two, I was worried. Like I hope I'm not getting something. But the next day, it was gone. So I know it's because I ran in the park at that particular time. But yeah, it's just fascinating how this has shifted everybody's view of wellness in terms of long-term thinking rather than just, oh, I got a cough, I'm going to take care of this right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned online, and we've seen it here too. People shifted online for things that they would normally run to the store for. They were getting it online, and we're seeing that a lot of them are going to keep getting these things online, myself included, just because I realize how easy it is. And some things I've just subscribed to now online, and I don't have to worry about it. You've seen that big shift online as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Sweet. And when lockdown happened, the restrictions in Ireland, you could only go 2 kilometers from your house. So that kind of really put it down on how people could travel to our stores. So that kind of we really seen them shift to online, and they've got a lot of new customers who probably had never engaged with the platform. They like to have that one-to-one interaction. A lot of the people in Ireland like to go in and have the chat with the healthcare advisor and that personal interaction there. But we've seen them kind of test out the platform, use it, and I think it's definitely, we have seen people shift into it, and it's probably customers who are going to stay there and use that platform because they feel safer. It's like the ease of what they got. Like obviously we offer next day delivery, so they were getting their products probably quicker than they thought, and it really did show them what we're capable of, and what they don't have to venture out if they didn't feel safe to do so. But we definitely think it's something that's going to stay.
Mm-hmm. Well, with the are you putting the healthcare advisors online in any way, or what, or is it just more content?
It was more content in the interest to get them key categories up that customers are looking for.
Hmm.
But absolutely, is we're kind of constantly reviewing what is the next thing to do. How do we make sure that we're offering the right thing for them customers? So it is definitely something that we are reviewing to see how would it work and would customers engage with it in the way that we feel they should.
Gotcha. And it's got to be, you're completely thinking about sourcing products in different ways and,
Yeah.
supply chain things and making sure you have everything, but also making sure you can find that next thing, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think similar to you guys watching us in Europe when COVID came out, Ireland is very much trend led with what happens in the US.
Hmm.
So we tend to really kind of watch what's going on. For example, like the keto diet is something that's only starting to kind of come over here in Ireland. And we've launched a couple of products and we're kind of seeing what's happening, but we're definitely seeing customers search for it, look for them products, and they're taking the lead from what's happening over in the US. So we tend to kind of watch that market quite a lot and see what are the really emerging brands. Kind of like when turmeric became a really on-trend product, it's something that was picked up really quickly in Ireland, and we made sure that we have to have them products in. Customers are looking for them, and how could we get them to market or have the right product there for them? So it's definitely something that we're really kind of on top of. Look at them emerging markets and some that are similar to ourselves in terms of like the healthcare model and that type of thing. And like it's something that obviously we tend to look through a lot of kind of media and work with partners, but it's like attending ECRM to get that insight from the other areas, which is absolutely brilliant for us.
Excellent. Well, keto is huge here. You have also carnivore is getting big because especially you'll have some of the bigger well-known celebrities like Joe Rogan on his podcast is everybody knows, and he's been on a carnivore diet and talks about the benefits he's been getting. I do kind of a half carnivore, half keto-ish kind of diet, but then by the other token, you have the plant-based, you have the vegans,
Yes.
and you have that is equally strong too. So me, I just like my steaks, so I can never be a vegan, but. Also, and it was interesting, I was talking to someone from Portugal during our session, and they mentioned insects or edible
Right.
insects, and I had recently did a article and an interview with someone who was a wholesaler of them. Uh, is that and health supplements is where they're making their way in first, like cricket
Okay.
protein, cricket flour. Are they making their way over by you yet, or not? Not there yet.
I have heard about them. I haven't not much has happened in Ireland yet. I'm not sure. I think people in Ireland again like their steaks quite a lot, but like not saying it's not something that'll be here in the next while. Because it's definitely something that has come onto my radar and look at different products. And I have seen it starting to go into the supplements area. I think it'll be just how it's getting people's perception that it's not something that you need to shy away from. It's something that's good for you.
Yep, it's starting to make its way in specialty stores here. Maybe some of the specialty vitamin shops, over here will have maybe bars with cricket flour,
Yeah.
protein bars, but they won't get, individual insects or anything like that. I don't think we're
Yeah.
there yet. That you still have that yuck factor. Nobody but I think eventually it's going to come because of the sustainability and
Yeah.
the health benefits. It's just getting over that hump of getting someone to eat it knowing they're eating insects.
Yeah, I think there's a red trend that we're definitely seeing emerge is mushrooms and different types of mushrooms and mushroom
Hmm.
powder, and
Yep.
that's something that I know people are really kind of like that the yuck factor. Some people don't like mushrooms, but they're seeing the health benefits, and it is starting to kind of get into their mind that right, there's actually maybe something that I need to look into a bit more. So
Yep.
we're starting to see that come in through a few different kind of wellness categories, which is it's interesting. I'd probably be one of them people who would shy away from mushrooms, but it's one that I'm considering starting to look into more because I'm hearing about the benefits.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Me too. About like mushroom supplements too. Like it may
Yeah,
be like a powder or a tea that has ground mushrooms in it, something like that.
yeah,
So maybe it'll start like that way first. It's kind of safer and not safer, but I mean consumers would be more willing to try something like that if
Yes.
maybe it doesn't look like a mushroom or, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, speaking of sourcing products, so you have been attending our sessions both in person and you were just at our virtual session. And,
Yeah.
so having been at our in-person ones, um, what was your experience like, or what were you thinking going into the virtual session when you first heard about it, the concept?
It was interesting because obviously in person when you go into the room, you get to hold the products, you get to kind of see it, you can open up and like move it around, take a taste of it if you want to. But that from a virtual, I thought like would that be lacking that kind of really the engagement of how you kind of get together with it and the
Hmm.
product and you see it, you take it away with you. You probably do a lot of kind of thinking nearly after the meetings when you have the
Hmm.
products when you're back in the office where they're sitting on my desk looking at them. But like when the virtual session went through and I had a look and seen what way they were laid out, had all the products were uploaded onto the platform. Even like what I found a real benefit was kind of that we could go out and download them. You could kind of nearly are interacting with them on a personal level. You can look at the presentation decks that are going to be there to kind of look at a few insights around them. Found really interesting, and that kind of it spurred a lot of kind of questions for me as to what I needed to ask. I kind of how like where the product kind of fit with us. But I think that definitely kind of found that what my concerns were, nearly like how do we engage with the products
Hmm.
were nearly unfounded when I could go in and download everything. You could see the artwork, you could see the products that out, even all the information about them. It kind of made it feel pretty seamless that I was still getting the same level of engagement with the products.
Excellent. I mean, it's great that the to be able to. That was our goal, or one of our goals was to create as close to our in-person experience as you
Mm-hmm.
can get in this virtual environment. Because face it, we're all stuck in this
Yeah,
for a little while. It looks like you're at home.
yeah. Today I
So
am. Yeah.
yep. So this is our life right now. So we might as well. We want to make it as robust and a good experience, for you guys. So what was your experience preparing for it? You work closely with our team to kind of learn the tools and all that.
Yeah, so I think I work pretty closely with Audrey, who we've worked with a few times over the last few sessions in person.
Hmm.
Kind of took us through how it would work, where everything was, like the meeting documents, all the brands, the products we looking at, and then how we looked at worked through kind of the itinerary and how everything would work, which was great. I think, and a lot even is like in person and kind of on virtually preparation is key to go in to make the most out of like the like 10-20 minutes you're going to have there to make sure you're getting the right questions. And I kind of like it was clear that I had to go in, read through the presentations, look at the products, and see does this fit with me? Would it be another buyer in their area? And then how would this fit with Ireland? And kind of what questions I needed to ask that kind of really weren't in the presentation deck, like looking at a bit of customer research, size of the prize, just to get a flavour in my head as to right in Ireland. These are the customers we target. This is what we think it will be, and this is where kind of we need to position it. Like I think from using the platform, it was pretty seamless. Like it was really like being there. You got the knock on the door to let you know you had a few minutes left to let you know you're moving on. Like it was heard you could wrap it up, get ready to kind of the follow up on the when you click the follow up as to when and the notes and everything like that. It was pretty kind of instantaneous. It got sent into my inbox. It was perfect. So I think pretty much when after the ones in person, you know, you used to go and kind of email them to yourself, but everything just
Hmm.
nearly like, arrives in for you, which is great.
Hmm. Well, that's the thing. It's, we've noticed that buyers are kind of loving the efficiency.
Yeah.
You're not losing time traveling. You have time to do your own work in the morning, and then you could go into it, and then you can follow up right away because you're not
Mm-hmm.
having, dinner and stuff every day afterwards. So,
Yeah.
so you've been leveraging that to follow up as quickly as possible?
Absolutely, yes. So I've got a lot of conversations going on at the minute with some of the guys that I've met over there, which is great, and kind of looking at what would need to happen to come to Ireland. Obviously, there's a lot going on in Ireland at the minute as well, especially with Brexit so close to us. So it's looking at logistic wise with that, and just understanding is it something that potentially is like a short term, like kind of 3 to 6 months, or is it longer term, and kind of what way that works? But there's quite a few conversations happening. I think there's a few products on the way to me as well. There's a few interesting ones that I'm looking forward to getting to taste. But yeah, like I think it's definitely leveraging that follow up pretty quickly. I was heading back to Ireland. Nearly, if we finish on say Tuesday or Wednesday, fly back, we've been pretty late. You're not following up in probably the following week or even a little bit later. Whereas like this is it's instantaneous. Everyone's starting to have them conversations while the appetite is not that it goes away, but the appetite's still there, and you're still kind of buzzed a bit from being at it, and you're kind of after seeing the products.
Yeah, that's a good point, and because you if you are traveling to an in person, you do need to dig out. You have that dig out period and that momentum. Like that excitement that you had at the meeting may dwindle a little bit, but here it's fresh. It's fresh. You can go right in afterwards and then get rolling on that. And that's, I think also, and this is a lot of credit to you, because I think the way you approached it by doing your homework in advance on the prep site, I think that is really a part of why you have a good experience, because you go in armed with the information that you need in advance.
Exactly. Like if you head in and you're starting from scratch, you're still trying to get a feel for the products, for the company, and you're wasting a lot of valuable time in there, which you could be talking like a quick couple of minutes about like the products, the company, from a person, get that kind of interaction going, and answer into the questions and the stuff that you really need answered to get for both the buyers and the suppliers to understand, is it something that fits with it? Is it something worth following up on, or is it something they could nearly spend their time following up with different retailers and that type of thing? Whereas if you're heading in not having looked at anything, it's very much you're still trying to get that flavor and kind of understand who they are and what products they have. But I think the prep for me is absolutely key to make sure that you're going in pretty well educated about it, but having that conversation, having them kind of chats about it to see what's happening.
And you can ask more valuable questions that fill in the gaps, because you already have a background on what they do, who they are, what they do, and what products they have. And that's why we try to provide as much information as possible in advance to, again, make those meetings more efficient for you.
Yeah,
so now,
absolutely.
You've had a lot of success in discovering. I know now we just had the session, a week or 2 weeks ago, so it's, hard to tell. But I mean, you've had a lot of success in discovering new items from our sessions.
Yeah, and definitely. So even like myself, from a healthcare point of view, but now some of the other buyers from Boots Ireland across beauty and personal care, we've all had pretty much success across different areas and different countries. Like I've products that come from the US, or products that come from Spain, Portugal, and we found some new really interesting ones that we were nearly first to market with in Ireland, and that kind of allowed us to remain kind of pretty innovative and bringing them new content to Ireland to make sure we were in the forefront of people's minds as the new trends that are coming in, like go into Boots. That's where you get it. It absolutely has helped us kind of get on top of even the trends like that we were seeing in the US and other countries. To kind of start, right, this is something we need to get ready for. It might not be in Ireland yet, but it's something we need to be ready for when it happens, that we're not last to market, we're first to market and leading the way. So I think I could probably say pretty much from every session that we've gone to, we've found products that aren't currently listed in our stores, and they're doing pretty well.
Excellent. That's great to hear. And another point you brought up that's good is that virtual is helpful for is you can even participate in our US sessions that maybe you wouldn't have time to fly to in person, but now so you could even get a further jump ahead in looking for stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Excellent. Well, now, well, speaking of suppliers, before I get into my final question, is from a supplier perspective and just your personal opinion, what makes for a good supplier virtual presentation? Like, what's an ideal virtual meeting? Do you like, slide decks? Do you like, them holding the product? What about the delivery? What are the elements that go into a successful virtual meeting?
I definitely do find a slide deck helpful for for the start, but I think I probably wouldn't rely too heavily on it for the meeting. I'd probably keep it concise, maybe 5, 6 slides, have it for like even half the meeting or less if you can, to allow a lot of that time for conversation and questions and maybe kind of looking at the product. Definitely helps to sort of have the product there, because I know a lot of guys showed it to me on the camera and kind of helped me get a sense for the size of it, what it would look like on a shelf and that type of thing, just so I could see and visualize it in our stores. I personally like to see a bit of the analysis around if it's already on sale in a market. What are you seeing from customer trends? What's the kind of customer profile, your target customer, and like how does that sit with my kind of core customers? Like, is it something that is absolutely like goes hand in hand, or is it something we need to work on a little bit? But then looking at a bit of like having done a bit of investigation into the market in Ireland, say like on a healthcare products, a lot of them need to be licensed to be sold. So just kind of looking, is it something that would need to be licensed here to be able to be sold in the country, or is it something that is like a cosmetic or a medical device that it's easy enough to bring? If you're going through regulatory to have a license, it can take you up to 1.5 to 2 years. So it's something that you need to kind of look and see, are these the right products to be talking about? Is it something that they're gonna put that time into to launch it further down the line, or what way does that work? But I definitely think have a lot of time for questions, because once you do a couple of slides on it, you're guaranteed buyers are going to ask you about the market insights, kind of the size of the prize, what do they think the market actually will do, and where do they see it going over the next few years. That's kind of really interesting. Is it something that's a bit of a flash in the pan, it's going to be around for a year or two, or is it something that's going to be more start to get embedded into kind of customers' mindsets and be here for multiple years, like immunity supplements, vitamin C, something that's going to be around for a long time, where you can see some things that come in, they perform really well, and then customers move on to the next trend. So it's just kind of understanding that kind of vision, like 3 to 5 years down the line.
Good. And with all the research that you do ahead of time, I know you probably have a lot of questions to ask them. So
Yeah.
That's a great point and good advice for any suppliers that may be meeting with you in the future. So to wrap up, final question. Now that we've been in this virtual kind of environment since pretty much March, where do you see it playing out in the future? Where do you see virtual continuing to be a part of everybody's way of doing business as we move forward?
Definitely, I think so, because I think we were all probably so dependent on like that face to face. Even here in Ireland, say we're having a supplier meeting, we'd organise it probably week in advance, make sure diaries don't clash, people have time to travel and come in together. But like I find it's very efficient at the minute, because if I need a meeting with one of the suppliers plus my marketing team or my supply team, you can organise it pretty quickly on Teams or on Zoom to make sure that you find a half an hour in the day that it all fits for everyone. No one has to travel, and like you can get it done, and kind of things happen quickly. Sure, we're even seeing in the office, you're limited to how many people you can have in the meeting room with social distancing. So some people are still at their desk while other people are in the meeting room, and it's all done virtual. So I think it's definitely here to stay. Not to say that I would like it to stay forever. I do like that person and that interaction as well. Like kind of getting to even go out for a coffee with a supplier and have a chance to see what's happening, what are they seeing in the market. But I think it's something that's going to be here for quite a while. I think it's something that everyone has taken to so fast. Like usually when change is kind of like this, it would take a lot of people. So a lot of time, like there's some resistance, but I think everyone knew this had to happen, and just how do we make it work? But I definitely think it's kind of the new way of doing business, and it's probably going to stay even hopefully when COVID is gone, for them kind of quick meetings and quick efficiency things to keep it going. But is that not said that there is a lot to be said for having a face-to-face meeting and having that kind of relationship. I don't just want it all to be kind of over the phone or over cameras. It's nice to have someone sitting there as well.
Yeah, I agree. And, as a company, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to, even once COVID is done, we're going to have a mix of in-person and virtual, because, yes, the in-person is valuable. I love it. I went to 48 sessions last year, including, in Europe as well. So I definitely do miss that part. I was always involved in a lot of the, activities. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that. But yeah, the virtual really, I think you hit it on the head when you said that, it's opened people's eyes. They've adapted to it really quickly, and virtual technology is going to keep progressing. We keep updating what we're doing on the platform. We've added roundtables now, so eventually we'll have virtual roundtable discussions on the platform. We have that now here. So it's going to keep going. It's going to still be a mix, but that's the thing. It'll be a mix, and we'll do it in a way that makes sense for everybody. So awesome. Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you so much, and I do look forward to getting getting together in person with you sooner rather than later. I know next year, I think the first few months are going to be virtual, but we're going to hopefully have more. The next one of the healthcare ones will be in person, but we will see what happens in the wintertime with this. So
yes. So look, thanks very much for having me. It's been great, and I've really enjoyed the virtual session.
Yeah, thanks, and appreciate all your input, and we'll see you at more of them.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Joe.
Take care.